There's something you need to understand before anything else. You are not waiting for them to confess. It only feels like you are waiting because your attention is stuck on them. But in reality, what you are actually waiting for is a shift inside yourself. Because the moment that internal shift happens, the confession you are thinking about right now stops feeling like a big, uncertain event and starts feeling like something obvious, something natural, something that was always going to happen. Right now, your mind is probably filled with questions. You keep thinking about what they feel, what they don't feel, whether they are confused, whether they are holding back, whether they are talking to someone else, whether you are special to them or just an option. And the more you think about these things, the more you feel like the answer is outside of you, like it depends on their thoughts, their decisions, their courage. But this is where most people get stuck, because they start treating the other person as the source of the outcome, when in reality, the source is always your internal state. The way manifestation works is very simple, but not always easy to follow. You don't get what you want by focusing on what you want. You get what you want by becoming the version of yourself for whom that desire is already normal. And right now, if you are constantly checking, waiting, analyzing, and hoping for a confession, you are not in the state of someone who is about to be confessed to. You are in the state of someone who is unsure, someone who is seeking validation, someone who is emotionally dependent on an outcome. And that energy, no matter how subtle, creates resistance. Think about how you behave when you feel unsure. You overthink small things. You read too much into their messages. You notice every delay, every change in tone, every small shift in behavior. You start creating stories in your head. And most of those stories are not even positive. They come from fear, from past experiences, from insecurity. And even if you try to act normal on the outside, internally, you are not stable. You are reacting instead of being grounded. Now, compare that to a version of you who already knows that they are liked, valued, and chosen. That version of you is not constantly checking for proof. That version of you is not trying to decode every action. That version of you is relaxed, present, and confident without needing constant reassurance. And when you interact from that state, your energy feels completely different. You are not trying to get something from the interaction anymore. You are not trying to push things forward or force clarity. You are simply enjoying the moment, allowing things to unfold naturally. And this is exactly the kind of energy that makes someone feel safe enough to open up. Because here is something most people don't realize. People confess their feelings when they feel emotionally safe and internally certain. They don't confess when they feel pressure, confusion, or imbalance. And when you are constantly seeking validation, even silently, it creates a subtle pressure in the dynamic. It makes the interaction feel heavy instead of natural. But when you shift into a state where you are emotionally stable within yourself, where you are not depending on their words to feel okay, you remove that pressure completely. You create space. And in that space, emotions grow more freely. This is why you might have seen situations where someone wasn't even trying, and still the other person ended up confessing. It's not because they did something special. It's because they were not creating resistance. They were not chasing, not forcing, not overthinking. They were simply being themselves without attachment to the outcome. And that is the state you need to move into. This does not mean you stop liking them. It does not mean you detach in a cold or distant way. It simply means you stop placing your emotional stability in their hands. You like them, but you are not dependent on them. You want them, but you don't feel incomplete without them. And this balance is what shifts everything. Right now, confession feels important to you because you believe it will give you clarity and security. You feel like once they say those words, everything will make sense, everything will feel stable, and you will finally be able to relax. But this is a misunderstanding of how things work. Because if you are not already feeling secure within yourself, even after the confession, your mind will find new reasons to doubt. You will start questioning their consistency, their intentions, their future actions. You will wonder if they really meant it, if things will last, if something will go wrong. And this is why focusing only on the outcome never solves the deeper issue. The real shift happens when you stop needing the confession to feel secure and start feeling secure first. When you reach a point where you genuinely see your own value, where you understand that you are someone worth choosing, where you are not constantly comparing yourself or questioning your worth, your entire energy changes. You stop chasing, you stop seeking, you stop trying to prove anything, and in that state, you naturally become someone people feel drawn to. Because now, when you talk to them, your presence feels different. You are more relaxed, more genuine, more grounded. You are not filtering every word, not trying to impress, not trying to control the outcome. You are simply expressing yourself freely, and that authenticity creates a strong emotional impact. People don't confess because you said the perfect thing. They confess because they feel something strong enough that they can't keep it inside anymore. And that feeling is built through consistent emotional experience, not forced moments. Another thing you need to understand is that time is not the problem here. The delay you feel is not because something is wrong. It is because your internal state is still adjusting. And the more you focus on why is it not happening yet, the more you reinforce the idea that it hasn't happened. Instead of focusing on time, focus on alignment. Ask yourself how you would feel if you already knew they were going to confess. Not hope, not wish, but know. You would feel calm. You would feel certain. You would not be rushing anything. You would not be checking constantly. You would simply move through your day with a quiet confidence. That is the state you need to practice. Not perfectly, not all the time, but consistently enough that it becomes your default. And as this becomes your natural state, things start shifting without you forcing them. The conversations feel easier. The connection feels smoother. They start opening up more, becoming more expressive, more emotionally available. And eventually, they reach a point where holding back feels unnatural. That is when the confession happens. Not because you made it happen, but because you allowed it to happen. And the most interesting part is, by the time it happens, you are no longer desperate for it. You still want it, you still appreciate it, but you don't need it to feel complete. You've already given yourself that feeling. And that is why it feels right. Because now it is not filling a gap. It is simply matching your internal reality. So if you truly want them to confess, stop focusing on their timing, their behavior, their actions. Bring your focus back to yourself. Build a self-concept where you are naturally chosen, where you are valued, where you are someone people feel safe expressing their feelings to. Because in the end, people don't confess to the person who is waiting for it with anxiety. They confess to the person who already feels certain within themselves. Become that person, and you won't have to chase the moment anymore. The moment will come to you naturally, and when it does, it will feel like the most normal thing in the world. I hope this helped you. I will meet you with another golden nugget. Happy manifesting.